Hey, how's it guys? In this tutorial, we'll learn how to use OpenAI API in Python. If you've never heard of OpenAI before, OpenAI is the company that developed ChatGPT, and OpenAI API is the service that allows developers to access the AI models that creates ChatGPT through REST API. And by using the OpenAI API, we can perform tasks such as grammar correction, keyword detection, code debugging, and many other things. Essentially, you can think OpenAI API as the personal assistant that knows just about everything. And to get started with OpenAI API, we need to, first of all, go to openai.com/API. And next, you need to sign up for an account. And if you don't have an account, simply sign up for an account and it's free. And as a new user, you'll get $18 worth of credit to use with the API. But the credit will expire after 3 months, just an FYI. Now here, let me go ahead and log into my account. Now, before we dive into the tutorial, I want to discuss the pricing first. All right, so here I'm going to Google OpenAI Pricing. And that takes me to this page right here. Now, the way how the pricing work is, so with OpenAI API, you have 4 different models: ADA, Babbage, Curry, and DaVinci. So DaVinci is the most powerful model, and I think DaVinci is currently the latest model, which is going to be the GPT 3.0 model, I think. And I know ChatGPT is currently on 3.5, and 4.0 is going to be released pretty soon. So I'm pretty excited when this DaVinci 3.5 model comes out, which is the model that ChatGPT uses. So based on the model that you use, the usage cost is going to be based on 1,000 tokens. And you can think token as the pieces of words or the number of words that you provide in your prompt, plus the result that the API produces. And for every 1,000 tokens, this is about 750 words. And on average, each paragraph is about 35 tokens. And for this tutorial, I'll be mainly using this DaVinci model. Alright, so here let me go back to my account. Now here I'm going to click on my username. Then I'll go to manage account. And from the usage page, you can see how much credit you have left, and as well as which service that you have used. Alright, so now we need to create a new set of API key by going to API keys. And here I'm going to click on create new secret key. Now I'm going to copy the API key to my Python script. Alright, so I'll create a variable called API key. And that's all we need to be able to access OpenAI API endpoint. Alright, so first we need to install the necessary Python packages. Now to connect to OpenAI API, we're going to use the OpenAI Python package. And we can install the package using the command pip install OpenAI and enter. And once you install the library, we can import the OpenAI module. I'm going to go ahead and run this code block to create the API key as well as to import the OpenAI module. Now to authenticate your access based on the API key, from the OpenAI module, we need to attach the API key to the API key attribute. Next, I'm going to create a variable called model. And it's going to be the name of the model that I want to use. Right, so to figure out the model name, so here we can go to this GPT-3 page, and which I'll link the link in the description below. And as I mentioned before, so currently we have 4 models that we can use: DaVinci, Curry, Babbage, and ADA. And just be aware of that, DaVinci model can take up to 4,000 tokens. And this means that this model will be able to accept much longer texts as the prompt plus the response. So here I'm going to copy the model ID. Now to make a request code to the OpenAI API, so from the OpenAI module, I want to reference the completion class that I create. Alright, so here I'll name the output as response. So using the create method, we can provide a prompt. Now let's say I want to know how big is the moon. So prompt is going to be the description of the task that you want the AI to perform. Next, we need to assign the model to the model parameter. And that's all we need to provide to make an API call. Now, if I go ahead and run this code block to create the response object, right? So here, no API key is provided. Oh, maybe I forgot to attach the key. Now let me try again. Oh, so I have a typo. Now let's look at the output. Right, so from the response object, it returns an output looks like this. Now from this choices key is going to contain the response from the API request. Created is going to be the timestamp that you make the request. And let's see what else is important. And usage. So usage means that how much token you have used based on the prompt that you provide. And to retrieve the result, so here we can treat this object as a name tuple. Now I want to retrieve the usage, so I can reference the usage attribute. And I'll turn the dictionary that gives me the usage detail. So for example, every time I make a request code, I want to know how much token that I've used. So I can reference the response object, that usage, that total tokens. And that would return 21, meaning that I've used 21 tokens based on this prompt, plus the response that the API returns, and which is going to be this text string right here. Now here, noticing that the response is not complete, and that's because this create method request can only use up to 16 tokens. And to complete the response, so here we need to increase the token limit using the max tokens parameter, and I'll set the limit to 1000 tokens. And there are other additional parameters that we can use to ensure that we get the most accurate response. For instance, there's a parameter called temperature, which controls the variety of the response that each time we make the API call, how likely the response is going to vary. And the parameter value is going to be between 0 and 1. And it's going to be in float data type. Now, as I want to increase the likelihood that I want to generate different response every time I run the API call. In that case, I'll set the temperature value to 0.9. And we can also produce multiple results by using this N parameter to set the number of outputs that the API call will return. And we can also use the start parameter to decide that from our prompt. So here I'm going to turn this into a variable. So using the start parameter, we can set the starting point where the question starts. So for example, now let's say I want to use a new line here. Now let's say I want the question to start after now actually let me change this to 3 dashes. Now let's say I want the question to start after these 3 dashes. So it's going to be what's the Chicago's population. And I want the API to ignore the first question. And here I can insert the pattern. So here I'm putting the pattern inside a list, and we can have up to 4 patterns. Right, so if I go ahead and rerun the response object. Oh, I forgot to create. So that should be fine. Right, so if we look at the response, now I'm going to print response .choices. Now this time it's going to return 3 results. So here I can insert a loop. I can say for result in response .choices. And I want to print just the response. So I'll print result.text. Oh, this should be text. The API request is going to return 3 different results. And here notice that it's not looking at this start prompt. Oh, so here I forgot to place the prompt with the prompt variable. So here, let me try again. All right, so if I go ahead and run this code block, right, so I'll go ahead and create the response object. And this time, if I run the loop, I now have the correct response. So based on this question right here, after the 3 dashes, and followed by 3 different results from the create method. Alright, so this is going to be everything I'm going to cover in this video, and hopefully you guys find this video useful. And I'll cover more examples in future videos, but for now, this is going to be everything, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.